Hello everyone, welcome to chapter 8 of e-marketing. This is session 7 and the topic is segmentation, targeting, differentiation and positioning strategies. You have learned about STP or segmentation, targeting, positioning in the basic courses. We'll be just using that information and then extrapolating it based on the online environment. And it is a very important chapter in the sense that once we are able to segment our market online, we are able to better offer them the products and services. So let's have a look at the objectives. Firstly, we'll outline the characteristics of three major markets for e-business. Secondly, we'll explain how e-marketers use market segmentation to reach online customers. Then list some commonly used market segmentation bases and variables. Also, we'll outline 5 different types of internet usage segments and what are their characteristics. Again, these are the usage segments. We could, depending on what products or services we are offering, we could use some of those segments. Describe 2 important coverage strategies e-marketers can use to target online customers. We'll see, for example, niche marketing would be one of them, in which case you are offering to a really small segment of the market. Define differentiation and positioning and give examples of companies using them. That would be the final objective of this session. So let's move along. Just as a case, this is about a short case on a company called 1-800-Flowers. Now this company was started in '76, a traditional retailer. As you can see from the word, they were into fresh flower business and they are targeting those who want to deliver flowers for various occasions. They need that for the anniversary, for birthday, etc. Now, the unique thing about this company is that when in '76 they started, at that time, of course, there was no internet. So they used the telephone for the purpose of marketing marketing their product, because they were first in a New York City, and then from there they wanted to expand it to the other states and the cities of the US. So they came up with this word 1-800-Flowers. Now, some of you might be familiar, but in the US, you know that when you have these numbers, the 800 number means a number which is free of charge. So if you call at 1-800, then 1 of course is the country code, and 800 is free of charge, which means the person who is receiving the call, in this case the company which is receiving the call, is going to be paying for the telephone bill, and you as a customer, when you call, it is free for you. Now at that time, when telephones were sort of expensive, telephone calls were expensive, this was a good tool to attract the customers, just telling them to call for free, and then they would be paying for that telephone call. So they use this 1-800, and then flowers is 7 words, FLOWERS. That is like an American telephone number. So they intentionally picked up those numbers which are flowers. So lots of advantages for using this. One was all over the country, people did not have to look into directory to order the flowers. All they had to do is just remember 1-800-flowers. So they would call this number, and then the operator would pick up from the call center and take the order for their flowers, where have they have to be delivered, and so on and so forth. So as you can see, it became very popular, the number, because it was very convenient for people to use this. Because if they, for example, forgot the birthday of their friend or wife or husband, and the last minute they remember that, all they'll do is they'll just pick up 1-800-flowers and tell them to go ahead and deliver the flowers as soon as possible. So it was a good service. Now, and then in 1995, when the internet came in, as you could expect, they extended this brand. This became a brand, 1-800-flowers. So they extended this brand to the internet as well. So as you can expect, they called it www.1800flowers.com, because this was the name. People remembered that. The recall rate was very high in this case. So they used the internet also, and they registered 1-800flowers.com. Now, compared to what they were before, using it for the telephone purpose, the internet was a blessing for them because it helped them segment their market. And as we will see, that they are using the internet to their max. So they used SAS data mining software to identify customer segments for better targeting. The software analyzed the click streams and the purchase patterns of firms' 21 million customers. So they had 21 million customers, and they wanted to pick up the data from that. Now the data mining, as you know, we learned that in the last chapter, not last, but in the marketing, e-marketing research chapter, while we were talking about data mining. This is a software which will pick up the data, the relevant data from data warehouse, and then see the association. So for example, if the company wanted to see uh, who are the customers for the last 3 years they have been ordering on a regular basis, then this, from their 21 million customers, this SAS data mining software will pick up all of those, and then they will then target them based on their usage. They will probably offer them some kind of incentives so that they stick with them as loyal customers. Also, it helped them a lot. Let's have a look at the next slide, and this way we can see that. So, for example, in the fourth quarter of 2009, the firm's website had 767,360 daily customers. See that? Daily visitors are coming on their website to place orders. $238.5 million in sales, and they drew 656,000 new customers as well. This is only the fourth quarter of the 2009. Chances are that now they are probably doing much more business than they were doing at that time. But as you can see, the internet was excellent for them because they were able to target their customer, break down their segment, their customers using the technology. As an example, the data would pick up, from based on their 21 million customers, those people who, for example, have their friends or relatives' birthday to be in, for example, July, and then it would automatically send them email reminding them that your loved ones have got a birthday coming in or your anniversary is coming in this month. So if you like to, we can place the order automatically and go ahead and deliver the flowers. Now, if you are a busy person and you receive this email, you would actually be delighted. You will say, wow, this is good that they have reminded me of this kind of occasion. Otherwise, I was almost forgetting. So then you'll just go ahead and tell them, okay, just like last year, go ahead and deliver the flowers. And then you give them your credit card information and they'll take care of there. So as you can see, it's an excellent means for the flowers company to expand their business based on targeting. Of course, it would reduce the cost for the company too, because they don't have to make a phone call. The customers are now, instead of calling 1-800 flowers, they're just coming on the website. So that saves a lot of money to the company. So they are lowering their cost, the reduced phone cost, and internet has been a blessing for them too. It's convenient for the customer also, because at any time of the day they can place the order. So based on this case study now, let's go back to see what is market segmentation and targeting. Market segmentation is the process of grouping the individuals or businesses according to the use, consumption, or the benefit of the product or service. I'm sure that you know about this. Similarly, market targeting is the process of selecting the market segments that are most attractive to the firm. When we talk about the internet, there are three markets which buy and sell to each other: the business market, marketing of products for the use of businesses; same way the government market; and then the consumer market involves marketing products and goods and services. Now, for the internet purpose, we will see that these three groups we have now, will be dividing that based on it. And the next chart or the next slide will show you how the classification could be done. So here are these three business markets and how they are divided. For example, the first one, if you look at on this side, we have the business, the consumer, and the government. Same way over here, the business, consumer, and the government. But in this case, we are saying the communication or the targeting is initiated by either the business or the consumer or the government. So if it is initiated by the business to another business, that is called business to business, right? Now the business to business would be various businesses targeting the other businesses. This is very common. Cisco, for example, is a company which would be targeting Hyundai, could be targeting the other dealers. They would be dealing with them. So that is a B2B, business to business. Next is initiated by the business to the consumer. This is the very common one, business to consumer, which means businesses are targeting consumer. An example for online is theclassmates.com. Thirdly, if it is targeting the government, in this case, the businesses are trying to sell government some products. This is an Australian website, in which case the businesses are trying to sell to the government. That's called business to government, B2G. Coming back to here over here, if it is initiated by the consumer in itself to the other consumer, that's called C2C. Of course, C2C would be when you have consumers dealing with businesses. Consumers deal with the companies like a Better Business Bureau. That's a company which is, now the consumer would be asking these Better Business Bureau to see whether this business they are dealing with, are they reputable or not? Should we deal with them or not? That is called a BBB, or Better Business Bureau, C2B. We can take another example. Supposing there's an individual who is doing his paintings and wants to sell to other businesses. Maybe he can set up a website and give information about his or her paintings and then target the businesses to buy them. C2C would be consumer to consumer. Of course, a very common example is eBay. Consumer trying to sell consumer the products through the auctions or through the regular website. All the classification websites are also C2C. Consumer to government, when consumer is dealing with the government for the purpose of maybe passport, for the purpose of paying taxes, or maybe for the purpose of getting the driving license, that is called C2G. Finally, if it is initiated by the government when they are dealing with the businesses, that is called G2B, which means small businesses. Government could be, I mean, it could be initiated for the government to the consumer, then that could be the for the tax purpose, maybe they might be dealing with them. And then finally the G2G, which is government to government. In this case, it could be one government, state government to another state government, or maybe one government, country government to another country government. As you can see, these are the 9 classifications. If we were to ask which one is the largest market, what would be your response? The largest market in this case is business to business, B2B. The reason behind that is that the transaction size is very big in this case. One business is trying to sell, let's say one business is trying to sell computers to another business. There will be not few computers, but lots and lots of computers too in this case too. All right. So this is number 1, and then B2C is the number 2 in this case. But the potential of B2C is there, of course, and the government cannot be undermined too. There are various bases and variables on which we can do market segmentation. Marketeers create segments to identify and reach the right people at the right time. So geographic location, we are seeing that more and more used by Google, for example, for GPS positioning, in which case they can, based on the location, they can offer you products and services online. Demographics, based on the gender, age groups, etc. Psychographic, we'll learn more about behavioral with regards to the product. Companies can also combine these bases such as geodemographics too. So geographic segmentation based on the distribution strategy and driving force. I won't spend too much time on that and on the basic concept because you already know that from the basic market, but we'll just apply that to internet. Here is you see that countries may be segmented based on the internet usage. China is the biggest segment in this case. They have 384 million users. US has got 234 million, and then Japan 96 million users. So you can you can divide that market into geographical segmentation. Geographical markets may also be evaluated by infrastructure variables and the languages spoken. So as an example, if you're based in the US and you are trying to offer some products to Japanese, then you have to look into what their consumer behavior is. In this case, we will learn later on also that, for example, Japanese don't like their websites to be as informal as the Americans do. So one has to be careful into see what kind of information you put on your websites. If you're targeting countries like China or Japan, you have to look into the culture as well. Here are the top internet languages. As you can see, Chinese is one of the largest language, well, not one of the largest, but the second number compared to English. But all indicators are that in the coming years there will be more people using the websites with Chinese because of the population. So in this case, the English will become number 2. Then we have all the other websites. Korean is number 2% only, and then Arabic 3%, German 4%, etc., etc. Demographic segments in developed nations, users are much more like the mainstream population demographically. The heaviest internet penetration in 2010 was 18 to 29 years of age people. In the previous chapter, when we were talking about consumer behavior online, we also talked about it, that there is a certain group of people using the internet more often, and of course in the segmentation it is obvious that we are seeing 18 to 29 as a segment, which is the largest, and they are earning, of course, this is in the US, and highly educated. Three market segments are of great interest to the marketeers: the millennial, the kids, and the online opinion leaders. I'll go into details on each of those groups. The first one, millennials. We call them millennials. They were born between 79 to 94. Over 90% of the use of the internet. They were the one born before the millennium of year 2000, and they are using the internet the most. And their characteristics are they are confident, connected, and open to change, because that's the first generation becoming very comfortable with the technology. 75% have a social networking profile, 83% have their cell phones with them, and 80% sent a text message in the past 24 hours. So as you can see, they are very comfortable with the technology. They're using technology quite often, and this is a very interesting segment for the marketeers. This group is the marketing proving ground for the future. In other words, once you target them and you are able to satisfy their need, then as they grow older, they would still stick to your products. Kids is another very interesting segment. These are under 16 online. They are increasing. 8 to 12 do a number of activities, because that's the next question you may ask. What are these kids doing online? They play online games, they do their homework online, listen to the music, watch the videos, surf the web, and then send emails as well. So the kids are becoming very active too, and this is an important segment too. We need to learn about this segment as well to see how we can satisfy their needs too. Thirdly, the influentials. The influentials are individuals who influence others. So these are the people who, if you know that the diffusion of innovation, these are the innovators. These are the people who will try out the new technology, and then if they are satisfied, they'll spread the word. They'll tell the others too. They represent 10% of the population and about 15% of the internet users. So once they are online and they like certain products and services, then they can spread the word, as we said. 82% of the influentials have the internet access compared to 76% of the general US population. Secondly, the psychographic segment. This segmentation is based on the personality, the value, the lifestyle, the activities, the interest, and the opinions. These are interesting too, because we can then offer websites or web pages and the products based on their personality, based on the value system, based on their lifestyle, activities, etc. So those who are, for example, having a very active lifestyle, we can have health related websites for them, and we can target their needs on that too. Similarly, based on the interest, we can also have, like for example, those who got hobby of um, having, maybe collecting some items, some antiques, etc. We can have a website for them too, though. Okay. Also, opinions of some people, and there are lots of blogs which are written on a regular basis, and these opinions are expressed by them on there. So the interest communities we have on page 206 of your book. The various communities, they are of interest to the marketeers, and if we can see that these communities, the idea behind that is that the marketers are interested in people wherever there's a gathering going on. So in this case, if there is a community, a gathering of people of certain common interest, then this will be very much interesting place for marketers to see how we can satisfy their needs. Okay, so for example, if you look at this exhibit on 206, you will see there are some brand communities. So firms create CRM communities around the brands in there. So there are communities about the brand, people talk about the brand, and then during that discussion, there are lots of new things coming up which these brands can pick up, and then they can improve that too. Same way you have the consumer communities which can then also post news, reviews, etc., and then companies can learn from that too. So the ways to target the online communities is to provide the online chat, the bulletin boards, and the events. Advertise on another firm's community also. So if there is a brand which you like to advertise, you can advertise on the brand community. The firm can join the community and post as a member as well. So you can advertise the so to there are ways to target the online communities. The first one is to provide online chats, bulletin boards, and events. Advertise to another firm's community site, and then firms can join the community and post as a member. This is quite common on the branding communities, for example, or the trading communities. Uh, this way they can have become a member, and then they learn things about about the what people are talking about on the social networking sites. This is quite common. So for example, is Procter and Gamble might become a member on one of the community website where maybe moms are talking about the diapers for their kids as an example. So this gives them some idea as to how they can improve the services, and of course learn about what the customers are talking about. Next is the attitudes and behaviors. Psychographic information helps the marketers define and describe their market segments based on the behavior. Some marketers believe that the segment's attitude toward technology can help them determine the consumer behavior. So the more the positive they have behavior towards technology, the more they would be inclined to use the internet. Forrester Research measures the attitude towards technology with a system called the technographics. They identified 10 consumer technographics segments in the US as an example. They are given on exhibit 810 on page 208. I won't spend time on that, but if you're interested, you can also have a look. Of course, different markets would have different technographic segments. Behavior segment. Two common segmentation variables are benefit sorts and the product usage. This is when companies like to distribute their market into segments based on behavior. Marketers are using benefit segmentation to form groups of consumer based on the benefit they desire from the product. Marketers often segment by light, medium, and heavy product usage also. This is very common among in the telecommunication industry, where they provide the services for the um, smartphone users based on their usage. So you can choose a package, either the light, medium, or the heavy one, which means depending on how often you'll be using it. Marketers can segment users as brand loyal to the competitive product, switchers, and non-users, etc. So they can then break their market into segments based on these kind of behavioral segments as well. To determine the benefit source, marketers can look at what people actually do online, and We discussed that in the last session on consumers online. Make sure you, when you get time, to go through that chapter again if you are more interested to know about this thing, online community activities, as well as the popular websites which are there. So based on that, marketers can offer the product to most popular. According to the comscore.com, these web pages or websites on which people visit are includes the Google is number one, then Yahoo, Microsoft, etc., etc. Of course, there might be a switch or might a change in this list based on the last. This is the 2012 figures. So if you were to do the ComScore today, then it would be different numbers. Usage segment. Marketers can segment according to how consumers use the segment. Again, in this case, since more and more people are doing the what we call the multitasking, at the same time they are now accessing the work at their home. 60% of the US users connectivity at home, we have already said that. Nielsen rating estimated 69.7 million access the internet from work. So as you can see, lots of people are, even though they have a job, but from their home, when they go to over the weekend or maybe at the nights, they would still access the internet um, from work. So in this case, there are quite a few people now. There's a new segment coming in which people are just operating out of their home. This of course changes the whole scenario. In this case, you can call it as a different segment also. Mobile access, biggest use in 2010 was for text and the web browsing. Social media engagement segment, of course, is an area on which there will be one full chapter which we'll be covering later on. But at this point in time, have a look at the segments, how you can break down the segments who are part of the social media. In this case, there are 24% of them are creators. They post a blog, update a web page, upload a video within the last month. So these are the very more often users. They are about 24%. Critics, 37%, they comment on the blogs. 40% are also creators. I'm sorry, I should have said that the creators are the one which are creating the content, and of course there are more who are utilizing the content. Collectors, 21%, save the URLs for the social bookmarking, etc., feeds, RS feeds, etc. Joiners are the one which are actually consuming the content and they're using the social network sites. Spectators, blog readers, viewers, these are also consumers consuming the content, and then inactives do not participate into the social media. So as you can see, that is becoming a very important part of the internet, and for e-marketers, social media is becoming very, very important because, as we said before, that people trust their friends more than the advertising, for example. So this has got implications for the marketers. We need to then see how best we can utilize this social media as well. Secondly, targeting. Targeting online customers, eMarketer select a targeting strategy which targets to serve online depending on the location and various other factors. And as we said before, there are two targeting strategies which are well suited for the internet. One is the niche marketing and the other one is micro marketing. Offline, it has been very difficult to target to the niche market because niche market is basically small segments. These are small segments you're trying to cater to, and if they are especially spread, these segments are spread all over, then internet is the best way by which you can communicate to them or target them, because otherwise it will be difficult, it will be not feasible for you to cater to their needs. But the micro marketing is even close to what we can call one-to-one marketing. Again, the beauty of internet is that you are able to cater to the needs of the individuals on one-to-one basis as well. It's possible we can do that. And I use this example that whenever you, of course, register for the website for your email and then you visit that website, then it will recall you based on your previous data and interaction from your name also. The internet's promise is individualized targeting. So the whole idea here is when we talk about targeting individual, the internet has the promise and the possibility and the potential to target your needs according to individual basis. To give you an example, let's take example of an airline on which you went and you previously visited and registered with them and even traveled a couple of times with them. Now in their data they have the selection of your seat, they have the your meals which you like, for example, during the flight. And then so the next time when you visit their website, it'll ask you by itself, would you like to have this kind of seat or would you like to have this kind of meal, as an example. This shows the personalization content of this internet, and it's possible companies are actually uh, leveraging on this information and they are making loyal customers based on this kind of targeting, which is the individualized targeting. Also, the other aspect we said in this chapter, the firstly was segmentation, then targeting, and then is the differentiation. According to Philip Kotler, he defines differentiation as the process of adding meaningful and value differences to distinguish the company's offering from the competition. So you want to be different in order to have your, the customers or the potential customers to start dealing with you. I would like to have your attention on the first page of this chapter, which is page 194, and look at a quote. Let me read that quote which is mentioned here. The second quote here, and on this it says, differentiation is the single most important internet marketing technique. If somebody sees a clone of YouTube, they have no reason to use it since it doesn't offer anything more than YouTube. So what it's saying is that if there is another company which is claiming to be the competitor of YouTube and they have everything literally similar to YouTube, then why would you be visiting that other company? Because they are not different. They are not using any differentiation strategy, so you would come back to YouTube. Basically, what Philip Kotler is trying to say is that if you're offering something, make sure you offer different. You have to be different than the competition, because this will then let the customers to select you rather than the your competitor. There are a number of differentiation dimensions and strategies for their accomplishment. So differentiation could be based on maybe some weak points which your competitor has got. So let's have a look. These dimensions could be based on, number one, product. Maybe your product is different than the competitors, maybe better product. It could be based on the brand. It could be based on the unique features. It could be innovative. Differentiation could be based on the service. Your service which you are offering could be unique and better, and that's why people would choose you or select your service. So if I have, for example, uh, an email from Hotmail, but when I go to Google, I see that their service is much better than the Hotmail, then I would select the Google rather than Hotmail. Personnel, people who are offering you the service. This is very important for services because people make a difference. So your dimension could be based on the differentiation dimension could be based on the personnel. A good example for that would be FedEx. in which case their people, when they deliver the package, they provide excellent service, and because of their personnel who are friendly and very cooperative, because of which people are willing to pay extra for this product. Also the channel, maybe the channels of distribution you have are different and unique compared to your competitors. That could be another way of differentiating yourself. Uh, then finally the image. Image could be also based on the perception, could be based on the branding, or good brand could be the one way. So there are various ways by which you could differentiate your products and services, and it is true online as well. Here are some of the internet specific differentiation strategies. Number one, site environment or the atmospherics. They should be easy to download, they should be accurate and clear information and easy navigation. This is the site environment. As I gave you an example in the e-marketing research chapter about Google, I was saying that they are always using their main page. The background is always white and their homepage has got very little information. The reason is that they want to differentiate themselves from the other by easy download, because Google is used all over the world, and in some places the speed of internet is much slower than the other places. So for them, Google is the easiest website to be downloaded, and that's the reason why they can differentiate from the other competitors. Building trust, as I said, brand recognition could make a difference in your website. So for example, if you're buying some products from Amazon, in which case the brand recognition is there compared to any website which is maybe a localized book website, and they ask you for credit card information, you'll be sort of hesitant because you know that they are not as big as Amazon, and if anything goes wrong with the other company, then you could be having problems. Privacy policy, very important. Safe and encrypted payment process for transaction also could be a point of differentiation for for the organization. Also, efficient and timely order processing. Again, using the example of Amazon, they are known for providing the efficient and timely order processing. As a matter of fact, they are so good in that some other companies have outsourced them, including the Target and Macy's companies, the retailers. They have used their services for their online order processing. Pricing, majority of the firms today differentiate themselves in some ways beside the pricing. Now, the reason why we are saying that is that just having a low price, which used to be before, that was the only strategy online, that okay, we are offering cheaper price than the other ones. But now companies are realizing that just offering the lowest price is not enough, because if the competitors even offer lower price than that, then your point of differentiation will be gone. So that's why we are saying majority of the firms today differentiate themselves in other ways beside pricing. Customer relationship management, very, very important in this case, because what you have to look at it from the point of view of e-marketing or the e-business, that you're offering products to customers who is far away from you. So unless and until you build a stronger relationship with the individual, they are going to go to your competitors. So you need to manage the long-term relationship with the customer using the customer relationship management tools. Also, the point of differentiation is the invite user-generated content. The key is to trust customers, listen and respond and learn. I've seen some websites in which they will say that after you have used our service, whatever your ideas are, you can go ahead and write it down in the form of the comment, and we'll post it online. So in this case, you start trusting the company that if they are asking you to write the comments, doesn't matter positive or negative, they're asking you is because they want to improve the services provided in future. Finally, the concept of positioning. Positioning is the process of creating a desired image of a company in the mind of the customer compared to competition. This is very important because you need to position your business in such a way. The e-marketer's goal is to build a position in one or more bases that are relevant to and important to the consumers. Firms can position brands, company CEO, or individual products also. We see number of examples. I mean, in the case of companies like one of them I'm dealing with, online traveling agency, which is the Expedia.com. Their positioning is that we are providing you much more variety of comparison, and no doubt they do that. So they tell us based on the pricing of the product, based on the airlines, based on the service, etc. That's the kind of positioning they have done in this case. So you could be using various positioning strategies as well in the case of um, the online too. I believe that should take care of the chapter. Now, positioning, of course, before I wrap it up, on your page 218, you like to see the positioning could be based on the product. And a good example is iVillage, which allows the user to build their own menus to criteria for ingredients, calorie count, etc. in their restaurants. Technology positioning is done by land ends, in which case they would like you to try out their um, dress on there. Benefits based on the positioning is done by Kimberly Clark, in which case they have a website called Happy Baby, in which they ask you to put stories. So you see, this way you can do the positioning based on various aspects which are mentioned over here. So that should take care of this chapter. If you have any question, please feel free to write me or come on the Skype site so that we can talk about it. Uh, Once again, it is an important chapter, and I'd like you to carefully read the chapter. Thank you and have a good day.